Hello students, how are you all doing? I'm hoping that all of you are doing well, all of you are taking care of yourself and your revisions are going well. So in the last class, I was really happy that many of you were able to correctly answer most of the questions, right? But what we'll do is we'll take a look at all those questions again so that if there is any confusion with respect to any of the options, we'll take a look at it and then we'll move on to the places in news that were there in June 2025, right? I'm hoping that through these sessions you are able to gain something out of it, and your revision is going well, right? Because if you leave it for the last moment, it will become really difficult. Of course, we'll make a playlist out of it, but if you are able to do it just half an hour every single week, it will take care of a lot of different important places that were in news in the last 1 year. All right. So in that regard, let's look at some of the questions. The first was with respect to the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the three statements were with respect to it lies entirely within equatorial climatic zone. Of course, it was around the equator. It was having equatorial rainforest. All these things we have already seen. So it is, of course, correct. Next is Congo River is the second largest. Now, Congo River is the second largest river in the world by discharge. Which is the first largest or the largest river in the world by discharge? It is, of course, the Amazon River, the largest river in the world. Amazon, the longest, Nile. Now, again, you can be asked, which is the most important aspects with respect to, say, for example, longest river in India, largest river in India. So, these kind of questions you can be asked. The last statement was, the country shares a border with Lake Victoria. It is, of course, wrong. It is, of course, wrong. Only 1 and 2 are correct. It was asking for correct statement. Only 1 and 2 are correct. Next is with respect to Lebanon. Here it is associated with which of the following features, right? So, Lebanon was around the eastern Mediterranean coast, Israel in the south and Syria in north and east regions. Western region was with respect to the Mediterranean Sea. Here you will find the Bekaa Valley, and of course it is on the eastern Mediterranean coast. It is not having Zagros Mountains. Zagros Mountains are very, very important with respect to our civilizational history of humans, right? But they are in the Iraq and Turkey, right? They are not in Lebanon, right? So again, this is wrong. They are asking for associated with which? Of course, it is 1 and 2 only, Bekaa Valley and Eastern Mediterranean coast. The next question is with respect to the glacial lake outburst floods, GLOFs, right? It is likely to occur. Now, these are glacial lakes floods, right? So, it will be in mostly glacial regions. So, it is likely to occur in regions characterized by, of course, moraines. They are directly associated with the depositional landforms made by rivers or made by glaciers. I'm sorry. So, made by glaciers. So, moraines are depositional landforms from the glaciers. Next, rapid glacier retreat. Of course, it will be there. Lastly, it will be active river delta formation. Is it active river delta? Are you finding delta in the source regions, right? It is not going to be so, right? Deltas are near the mouth of the river, right? Not on the glaciers, right? So, this becomes wrong. The answers are 1 and 2 only. Both of these are associated with glacial landforms, all right? Next was with respect to Lonza Valley, again, Switzerland, right? Lonza Valley, it is associated, recently in news, is associated with which kind of geomorphological setting? This was, what kind of valley was it? You remember, glacial lake outburst floods happened here. So, this valley is associated with glacial valley. Straightforward answer, it is alpine glacial valley. All right. Next is with respect to the Chagos Islands. Now, they are asking for correct option. They host a major US military base, of course, Diego Garcia. Next, they are located north of Maldives. Are they located north of Maldives or south of Maldives? It is, of course, south of Maldives, right? And they are part of the British Indian Ocean Territory. Among these, which is correct, and they are asking for the correct answer. So, they are having Diego Garcia, the largest, one of the major US military bases. It is also the largest island in the Chagos archipelago, right? Second is, of course, wrong, because it is south of Maldives and they are part of British Indian Ocean Territory. The options are 1 and 3 only. Next, with respect to Kilauea volcano, it is associated with which of the following geological processes? Is it a subduction happening? Where was this particular volcano found? It was in the Hawaiian Islands, right? Now, because they are in the Hawaiian Islands, they are right in the middle of the Pacific plate. Because they are in the middle of the Pacific plate, that means they will only be having hotspot activity, and that is the only other option, because all the other things, say for example divergent, subduction, it will happen on plate boundaries, right? It is exactly hotspot activity due to the convectional currents and all inside the earth that you will find volcanoes right in the middle of a tectonic plate, right? So this was with respect to the volcano. The last one, okay, so this is now a bit more geomorphological or mostly physical geography portion. How would you best describe a shield volcano? How would you best describe a shield volcano? It will have gentle slope, yes. It will have fluid basaltic lava, of course, right? Is it highly explosive? It is not, right? It is not highly explosive, right? That was the difference between, say, for example, the earlier volcano we had seen in the first class with respect to, I think, it was a composite volcano, right? It was a stratovolcano. So that was the difference, है ना? So shield volcanoes are explosive, not highly explosive eruptions. Here only 1 and 2 are correct. Next is with respect to Murray-Darling Basin. Of course, it is Australia. It is very easy. Okay. So these were the questions that we had seen in the last or the previous session. Today we are going to start with our new portion, which is with respect to the first location in news is with respect to Nigeria. All right. Now, Nigeria is a very, very important country, right? It is going to become even more important in the coming decades and in this century also, right? It is one of the major countries of Africa, along with, of course, South Africa, Egypt, right? Nigeria is among the really important countries in Africa. Of course, the capital is Abuja, and the capital is Abuja. Now, in that regard, there was a very, very devastating floods that happened, right? There was a very, very devastating flood. Which is the river that is causing this flood? So, if you have to associate any particular river here, it is of course the Niger River. So, the river is Niger River. Now, there is a Niger country also, right? This is Nigeria, Niger. So, this you will have to remember that there is Niger River and passing through Nigeria. There is also a Niger country also. Okay? So, river Niger is passing, or the major river of this particular area. Now, here only you will find a very important formation of what? So, there are very important deltaic formations that are being made by this Niger River. So, it will make a delta. What is a delta? You remember, like this fanning that you see in case of Ganga, in the Sundarbans, right? So, there only you will find deltas. Now, again, exactly as similar to what you will find in Sundarbans, you will find mangroves here. Mangroves here, right? So, you will find mangroves here. Where is it draining out? It is draining out in the Atlantic Ocean. It is draining out in the Atlantic Ocean. And if you look at it, this particular area is associated with Gulf of Guinea. Okay. So, Gulf of Guinea in the Atlantic Ocean. It is Atlantic Ocean, Gulf of. This Guinea is very, very important because there is also French Guinea, Guyana, that is there in where? South America also. So, you will have to remember that when you are talking about Gulf of Guinea, it is near the West African region, right? It is near the West African region. Why? Because there is also Guinea, Guyana, French Guinea and Guyana in South America, the northern portion of South America, all right, where there are, especially in Guyana, there are a lot of Indian diaspora or Indian people there. Okay. So the next aspect was, okay, these are the different associations. Now, here you will find an important lake. In fact, this is one kind of lake that UPSC is very fond of. Let's see which is this lake. So this lake is called Lake Chad, right? This lake is called Lake Chad. Now, why is it so important? Because it is shrinking rapidly. It is shrinking rapidly. How much? So, rapid shrinking. And how much it has shrunk? Almost 90% in 60 years. Now you can, if you are preparing your portions well, you know these kind of questions have been asked before many a times, right? If there is rapid shrinking or any of these kind of environmental challenges that is going on anywhere, UPSC has a tendency to ask these kind of questions. So here you will find a rapid shrinking that is going on with respect to Lake Chad. It is not entirely in Nigeria. This is a shared lake, right? It was a huge lake, right? Now it has shrunk a lot, but it is being shared by other countries also. These countries would be the countries of Chad, Niger and Cameroon. Chad, Niger and Cameroon. All these countries are sharing these borders with Lake Chad. They become really important. So Nigeria, Niger Delta, mangroves, right? This is, or now this particular region is in the tropics. So here is just a hypothetical sense, but this is somewhere here that equator is going, and if you look at it, this is somewhere here, the Tropic of Cancer would be there. All right. So it is between the tropics, right? Between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So it will have will it have equatorial climate or tropical climate? It will have tropical climate. It is between the tropics. All right. Next important thing is that there are different regions in Nigeria. So there are different regions. First of all, this is the Saharan region, right? After that, you will find the Sahel region. This is the Sahel region that you will find here. Now, this upper portion or the northern portion is Sahel region. Next would be what kind of region? So then you will find the Savannah region, right? The Savannah region. Sahel in the north, above it is the Saharan desert, right? So semi-arid is Sahel. Then there is in the central region, there is Savannah, and in the south, you will find, of course, the mangroves, the deltaic regions, the properly fertile regions, right? So there are three differentiations. Sahara, then the first in the northern portion, there is which region? Sahel, semi-arid, after arid, semi-arid, then Savannah, and then the mangroves and the properly denser regions of especially population density wise also, and of course fertility wise also. All right. So these are very important things. Of course, it is also plagued with similar associations which causes floods in India. That is why a very extreme kind of flood had happened here, right? So this was a very, very important sector. Now, what is its strategic importance? Its strategic importance is it is one of the biggest economies in Africa, right? After South Africa, it is one of the biggest economies in Africa. It is having a lot of oil reserves. So it is having a lot of oil reserves here. Here only you will find the Boko Haram group, the terrorist group Boko Haram was associated with this particular region, especially around the Lake Chad region, right? So these are some of the strategic and other dimensions also that are associated with it, right? In this regard, you can try and attempt this particular question. Just pause it here and try and attempt it. All right. Next is with respect to Mount Etna. Mount Etna. Now, what is its importance? It is Europe's largest active volcano. It is Europe's largest active volcano. This you can remember. This you can remember. This you can associate with it. It can also be asked as a simple, straightforward statement also, right? So it is Europe's largest active volcano. Now, what are some of the important aspects that you will need to know with respect to Mount Etna, and what are the different types of questions that you may be asked? Now, this particular region where you will find it, so this is here, this is Italy, this is this is Italy, right? Of this, there is an island called Sicily, right? The island is Sicily. All right. So the island is Sicily, on which you will find Mount Etna, right? This is Europe's most active volcano on the Sicilian islands belonging to Italy. The next kind of question would be, which is the water body that is associated with it, right? So here you will find, of course, the Mediterranean Sea, Tyrrhenian Sea in the west, and Ionian Sea in the east. Not that much into detail, but you just have to associate it with that it is part of the Mediterranean Sea on the whole, and there are these particular water bodies that are being found around it. Now, what you can expect and question from is it a subducting plate or a divergent plate? So here there is convergence of, this is the Eurasian plate, Europe and Asia. So Eurasian and African plate from this particular portion. So this is the Eurasian plate and this is African plate. Now, what you can remember is it is the convergence of Eurasian and African plate, right? What is it happening? So here, African plate is subducting beneath the Eurasian plate. That means if it is subducting beneath, that means African plate is the denser plate, Eurasian plate is less denser than African plate. So here it is subduction of African plate, beneath which? Beneath the Eurasian plate. All right. Now this can be a question. So here what is happening is, even though it is part of Italy, right, but this particular section of Sicily Island is part of the African plate and Italy is part of the Eurasian plate, right? And here there is a subduction going on which is causing this particular volcano to form. Now, what kind of volcano it is? So, with respect to the volcano, it is again a stratovolcano. We have already seen what is a stratovolcano. It is also known as which? The composite volcano. It is also known as a composite volcano. This we have already seen in the first class, so we are not going to discuss it again. Just try and remember whatever the things that we have associated with stratovolcano or composite volcano. It is quite a bit violent when it erupts, right? So you can understand that it is very, very important in this particular regard. These are the type of questions that you may be asked. Now, say for example, the last volcano that we had seen with respect to the Hawaiian Islands. So there was a hotspot activity. Here subduction is going on. So even these kind of statements, because these are just 1 month apart, right? So even these kind of questions you can be asked. There is also another volcano here that is called Vesuvius, very close by, but you will have to differentiate that Etna is on Sicily and Vesuvius is a different volcano here, right? So these are different kind of questions that you can be asked from this particular section. Let's try and look at a question and associate it properly. Try and associate whatever you have read in a question answer format. Let's see how many of you are able to correctly answer this. This is connecting different parts that we have seen before. I think Kilauea volcano we had seen in the second class and Mount Fuji in the first class. So I'm hoping that you are able to revise it well. All right. Next is with respect to Socotra Island. Now this is a very, very beautiful island. Beautiful in a very different sense, right? If you look at some of the pictures that are coming out of that place, of course it is involved in a very unfortunate humanitarian crisis because it is part of Yemen. It is part of Yemen, and there is a Yemeni civil war going on, Houthi rebels, and all these things are associated with it. But if you look at just the natural beauty of this island, it is very, very beautiful. It is very, very different, right? There are plants and animals that are found here, which is very different from all others that you will find anywhere in the world. Just take a look at these, the plants and animals that you'll find in on the net, right? So where is it? Where is this Socotra Island, and what is it that we are? Why is it that we are looking at it properly? So here, this was the Red Sea, all right, and this was the Bab al Mandeb Strait, right? This is the Strait of Bab al Mandeb. Here, this was which region? This is the region of Gulf of Aden, right? Now, Red Sea, Bab al Mandeb Strait, Gulf of Aden. Then you will find this Socotra Island. Now, can you properly make a chronological sequence out of it, right? It is near the Horn of Africa. It is near the Horn of Africa, but not part of Africa, right? It is near Horn of Africa, but not part of Africa. Not part of Africa. Why? Because actually this is a part of Yemen. So it is part of Yemen, hence Asia. This can be also a question because it is so close to Horn of Africa. Is it an African region or an Asian region? So it is part of Asia. Now, even these kind of simple questions can become tough, especially in these, and this is very close to India, so it becomes really important also. You should look at it. Now, what kind of island is it? So it is a continental fragment. It is a continental fragment. Basically, क्या हुआ? There the plates broke up, and these were the remnants or the broken pieces of the continents. When these tectonic activities happen, there are some parts that are left behind. So these are the broken fragments. So it is a continental fragment, right? Next is what you can associate here. So which are the important straits that you will find here? Of course, it is the Bab al Mandeb Strait here, and the Strait of Hormuz is here, linking the Persian Gulf with Gulf of Oman. So Strait of Hormuz or the Persian Gulf is not associated with Socotra Island. It is associated with which particular region? The Arabian Sea. The Arabian Sea region, you will find it here, right? So these are important aspects. Here there is a lot of highly endemic species, high endemism, meaning there are species that are found, plants and animals both, that are only found in this particular region, right? So there is high endemism here. Here only you will find a dragon blood tree, right? A dragon blood, right? Here you will find really thick trunks that are storing a lot of water, you know? And then if you just pick a hole in these trunks, so you will get a lot of water out of it, right? So these are different aspects with respect to the Socotra Islands of Yemen. Let's look at the question. It is noted for these three aspects. Let's look at how many of you are able to correctly answer this. All right. Next is with respect to Fordow. Now this becomes even more important because again US-Iran conflict is going on. US-Israel-Iran conflict is going on. This Fordow Nuclear Facility is in Iran. And here United States carried out airstrikes, right? Why? Of course, because this is a nuclear facility. And what is the major reason that they are giving? Why are they striking Iran again and again? Because they do not want them to get nuclear weapons, right? It is a nuclear facility. It is an underground nuclear facility. It's a very, very important uranium enrichment site, right? And it is a very underground nuclear facility. Now, where is it? So, this is Tehran. Here is the Caspian Sea, right? And this Fordow Nuclear Facility is found in this particular region. The region is called Qum. The province of Iran where you will find this nuclear facility is called Qum. So, in this particular region, you will find this nuclear facility. Now, it is built inside mountains, right? So, it is inside mountains. In fact, the Zagros mountains that we talked about when we were looking at it. So, there is an extension of these Zagros mountains, and of course, not exactly Zagros, but it is an extension that is coming in these particular regions also, right? It is of the strategic significance is that it is a uranium enrichment facility. It had been hit, right, recently. Here, you will also find associations with respect to JCPOA. So, what is JCPOA? You can be asked that JCPOA recently is news is associated with which countries, right? So, it is of course the JCPOA was with respect to the Iran nuclear deal that was happening with respect to US and Iran. Of course, after Trump, he rejected this deal, right? Here only you will find important geopolitical dimensions also. So, this is Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz. That is connecting the Persian Gulf with Gulf of Oman. So, this is Persian Gulf with Gulf of Oman, right? It is a very, very narrow, strait, right? In fact, the shipping lane is just 3 kilometers wide, right? That is why it becomes a choke point. Now, choke points are, of course, favorite topics of topic with respect to UPSC. Okay? But this Fordow nuclear facility is nowhere near this Persian Gulf. It is not on the coast. It is not bordering even the Caspian Sea. So, Caspian Sea is at the top, and here is the Persian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, Gulf of Oman. It is not anywhere near this particular region. It is actually it is inside the mountains that we will find here, right? You can also be asked that which is the region of Chabahar and Gwadar. Chabahar and Gwadar is also in this particular region. Then there is Baluchistan region that is very active these days, right? So, which is this Baluchistan region that we talk about? Is like we will take a Baluchistan in the later classes also, because again it will be in news. But Baluchistan region is here, right? It is not in the Baluchistan region also. So, these are some of the Iranian Baluchistan region, of course, right? So, these are some of the associations that you can remember. The question with respect to this particular topic would be ki, which of the following straits are strategically important in context of Iran's geography? Let's see how many of you are able to correctly answer this. All right. Next, the island country of Cyprus. Now, this becomes very, very important. Why is it very, very important? That because India's Prime Minister visited this country for the first time. India's Prime Minister visited this country for the first time last year. That is why it becomes so important. Now, there is a Cyprus conflict going on between which countries? So, this Cyprus conflict is going on between Turkey and Greece. There is the island country of Cyprus. So, here Greece versus Turkey is going on. Now, what they have done is, in this particular region, what they have done is, say for example, if this is the Cyprus, the northern portion is being claimed by Turkey, or it is being claimed that it is an influence of Turkey. The southern portion is with respect to Greece. So, there is a conflict going on between which two countries? Greece and Turkey. Now, what is it that you have to understand with respect to this particular country, because Indian Prime Minister has visited it? First of all, where is it located? It is located in the Eastern Mediterranean Sea. Eastern Mediterranean Sea, right? Greece, Turkey, below Turkey you will find what? Cyprus. You had looked at Lebanon in the last class, right? So it is Syria is here, Lebanon is here, Israel is here. So these are some of the countries closest to it. Of course, there is Turkey on the north, right? Greece is a bit far away, right? Greece is a bit far away. Now there is another island called Crete. So do remember, Crete and Cyprus are two different areas, quite a few kilometers apart, right? In that regard, Cyprus is much more closer to Middle East or West Asia, right? Next, what you can remember is that this conflict is going on between Greece and Turkey, and what is its say for example strategic importance. So most importantly, that you will have to remember that this country is a EU member. This country is a EU member state. Now this becomes really important. You will find it close to West Asia, but it is part of the European Union. This is very, very important, right? This becomes very, very important. It is a EU member, right? Next, other things that you can find is, say for example, they will give you mapping questions with respect to it. So where would you find Ionian Sea? Where would you find Turkey? Is it Turkey in the north or in the west? So these kind of questions. Okay, so which country is here? So there will be Egypt. Which is this peninsula? This is the Sinai Peninsula. So these are some of the other questions, of course, because Israel-Palestine war and the conflicts that are going on in this particular region is again important. West Asia. Cyprus is a conflict between Greece and Turkey. Okay? So the question that can be asked with respect to, and this is a pure mapping based question. Let's try and answer this question. All right. All done. All right. Next is Lake Natron. Now, why is it that we are looking at it? So the first important thing is there it is. You will find this again in the country of Tanzania. That is why we had looked at Tanzania in so much of detail in the first session, because there are some important news that are coming out with respect to this country. Now, here Tanzania is having majority section of Lake Natron, just a little bit it is sharing with Kenya, very small bit just on the borders, right? So majorly in Tanzania, just a little bit at the borders with Kenya, you will find this particular lake. It is associated with 2-3 important aspects. First of all, there are very beautiful looking flamingos that are there or that are found in this particular lake, right? This is Lake Natron, just on the borders with Kenya, here, almost here, right? So this particular region, it's a big lake, but majorly in Tanzania and somewhat touching the Kenyan border with Tanzania. Now, what is it that you will have to remember? So first important thing is this is an alkaline lake. This is an alkaline lake. This is also called as soda lake, right? So soda lake or alkaline lake. This is which particular region we are talking about? Lake Natron in Tanzania, right? It is near Kenya border, just a little bit, but mostly in Tanzania. Next important thing is it is associated with flamingos. It is associated with flamingos. It is a very, very alkaline portion. That is, high evaporation is going on. That is how you will find high alkaline portion in this particular region. Next important aspect would be that it is not connected to Lake Victoria. Not connected to Lake Victoria. It is very close by. It is very close by, but not connected to Lake Victoria. Of course, this is the most important lake, one of the most important lakes in the world, right? It is not a freshwater lake. It is not a freshwater lake. Why? It is an alkaline lake. And other aspect can also be there, but you can associate these particular regions with these particular aspects. Next, इसमें जो question that can be made up from this particular question, this particular topic is with respect to ecological significance of this particular lake. Let's see how many of you are able to answer this question. All right. Next is the country of Armenia. Now, I'm hoping that most of you who have prepared or are preparing it well know that there is a Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict that has been going on in the last few years, right? In that regard, what is happening is with respect to Indian connection, of course. So it was for the evacuation of Indian nationals from Iran when US hit Iran's facilities, right? Here you will find Operation Sindhu. Operation Sindhu in connection to Armenia. What is it for? To evacuate Indian nationals from Iran. Now, both the things are important. Operation Sindhu to evacuate Indian nationals from Iran, and helped by Armenia, right? We are also giving a lot of arms export to this particular country. So we are exporting a lot of arms from our country to this particular country, right? Now, what are some of the important things with respect to Armenia? The first important thing is that you will have to remember is that Armenia is a landlocked country. Armenia is a landlocked country. So it is landlocked, right? Which are its important neighbors? So Georgia in the north, Azerbaijan in the east, Turkey in the west, and Iran in the south. So these are the four major neighbors. There is also a portion of Azerbaijan here also, right? And you must have known about Nagorno-Karabakh region. This is the Nagorno-Karabakh region, right? This is where a lot of Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict happened, right? So a lot of important aspects have happened, especially in the last few years in these particular regions, right? It is a landlocked country. Which is this region? So these are called Caucasus regions. Caucasus Mountains say Caucasus region, Southern Caucasus, right? Here only you will find a lake called Savannah. So there is a lake called Savannah, right? So there is a lake called Savannah. Which are the important countries? So in the north there is Georgia, in the west there is Turkey, in the south there is Iran, and on the east there is Azerbaijan, right? This is mostly a mountainous country, right? Because of the Caucasus Mountains, right? It is very, very beautiful, right? Here you will find Lake Sevan or Savannah, right? Both the spellings are correct. S-E-V-A-N or S-E-V-A-N-A. Both the spellings are correct here. All right. Next aspect is you should not confuse it with any of the Balkan countries. There is a possibility that this particular region can be mixed with Balkan countries. So there you will have to be a bit more cautious that it is not in the Balkans. It is not anywhere near any of the important water bodies, nowhere near the Black Sea. Of course, Black Sea is there, but in this particular region. So it is not connected with Black Sea. The last aspect, of course, would be the question. So let's look at with reference to Armenia, which of the following statements are correct. All right. So now this completes all the different aspects. Today, what I am going to do is we are going to look at a particular question that will incorporate some of these important topics. So this would be the last question from today. Let's see how many of you are able to actually answer this. This is mixing a lot of different topics, and these kind of questions now you will see that UPSC is asking again and again, that it is not just asking one particular place, it is asking a mix of 2-3 places, right? So let's try and answer these questions. All right, just pause it here, try and answer it. I'm hoping that most of you are able to get it correct, right? I'm really happy that most of you are able to associate different topics from different places and are able to answer correctly. I'm hoping that it is helping you. All right, that is all for today. Thank you so much. Wish you all the very best. Meet you in the next class. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.